What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bass. In today's video, we are talking winter finesse fishing. Winter finesse fishing tips to help you guys catch more fish and put them in the boat. We are getting towards the end of December. It is almost Christmas, guys, so Merry Christmas if you guys are seeing this on Christmas Day or right before. But finesse fishing, wintertime, it's cold out, the water temps are dropping, and you know what? Sometimes that reaction bite doesn't work and you have to throw finesse. Some kind of BFS system or a spinning rod, drop shot, tube, shaky head, float and fly. So today I have some tips for you guys on 4 or 5 different techniques that will help give you confidence and put more fish in the boat for you guys. So like I said, wintertime fishing, sometimes it can be tough out. It's cold out. You know, you have the elements, you got storms coming in, you got water temps, air temps dropping, and sometimes you need to put down that flipping stick, that reaction bait, and pick up finesse. So we're gonna talk about 4 or 5 different techniques, and I got a tip for you guys in each technique depending on who you are and the technique that you like to fish. Maybe you like to fish all of them, maybe you like to fish 1 or 0, I don't know, but hopefully these tips will help you guys have more confidence. Let's go ahead and start with the drop shot. You know, obviously slowing down, it doesn't get much slower than just dragging a drop shot. And with that said, I want to talk about a lot of these techniques about dead action baits and being careful and not giving your baits too much action, because you know you're trying to mimic the bait fish, you're trying to mimic what's going on down there and be as natural as possible. With everything slowing down subsurface, you know, the bait fish are slowing down, just everything's going slower, so you don't want to be up there just shaking your drop shot, your rod tip, and having that bait just dancing all over the place, right? You want to be slow and subtle and look as natural as possible. So in a lot of these techniques, I'm going to talk about dead action, and what that means is limited to no action on your soft plastics. So might touch on that in a little bit, but getting back to the drop shot, my number one dead action bait in the wintertime is going to be this guy right here. This is the Net Bait Junior Crush. Now what's so cool about this bait, well, there's a few things, but most importantly is about how soft and subtle this bait is. It is super, super soft. And so I can have this thing down there with no action whatsoever of my rod tip, and that thing is just being natural in the current. You know, believe it or not, even if you're not in a river system, you still have water movement. And with this bait being so soft, with no action of the rod tip, this thing is gonna look ultra natural, just sitting there moving in the current like your bait fish would. So dead action, you know, I could give this thing a ton of action if I wanted to, but because this thing is so soft, it looks and works phenomenally well in the cold weather months. This is a great northern Great Lakes smallmouth bait, which is why it works really well around the country the rest of the year in cold water, because those lakes are so cold up north. But the next tip that I have for you on a drop shot, a lot of times this time of the year, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, I'll link everything down below in the video description, but I will actually downsize my drop shot hook. So if I'm normally throwing a 1, I will go down to a 2. And the reason being, like I said, everything is slower. All the activity down there is slower, and those fish have just a lot of time to sit there and analyze your bait, right? So I want as little metal as down there as possible, as little unnatural looking stuff down there as possible. So if you're finding that you're not getting as many bites as you would like to, or that you had in the past on your drop shot, whatever worm it may be, you know, pay attention to the action and the amount of action you're giving it. And then 2, try downsizing your hook size and see if you pick up more fish. But again, be very, very cognizant of the amount of action you're giving your drop shot, paying attention to your rod twitches. If you really need to really focus, drop that rod tip in the water. I know we've talked about this in the past. Drop that rod tip in the water and you will see how much, based on the ripples, how much action you're really giving that bait. So don't give your bait too much action on your finesse stuff. So, like I said, downsize your hook size. Speaking about dead action, I will talk about the Ned Rig real quick. We have some real in-depth Ned Rig and tube rig videos, or tube videos coming, so I'm not gonna go too in-depth, but again, that dead action bait. You know, I don't want a Ned Rig per se that has a bulbous tail or something that is floating and giving a lot of action. I want something that's gonna be kind of subtle, and the best bait I found for that is gonna be the robo worm. This guy right here, this is that special color, that Tackle Warehouse black blue pumpkin. You guys know that I love so much. It just looks like a little bit of everything. You know, it's got that green pumpkin belly with that black and blue top. Sorry guys, just getting over a cold. I don't know if you guys can pick up on that, but 'tis the season, right? Wintertime and colds, but dead action. So that robo worm, to me, I have 4 or 5 favorite Ned Rig baits. You know, the Z-Man stuff, the missile bait stuff, X-Zone, the Savage Gear Salamander, you know, that's one of Matt's favorites. But this time of year, you want little to no action, and you don't want, just like the drop shot, you don't want that thing down there just kicking all over the place. So for me right now, that robo worm is my #1 bait. Now, I won't show you on this. I'll show you on the shaky head, because that applies as well. I'm sorry, Nico Rig. It's one of those days. That right there, that's the 5-inch Yamamoto Senko, rigged as a Nico or a Neko rig. It's got the nail weight in there. I really like throwing this. I like throwing the Nico Rig year round. It catches big fish. It has a bigger profile than a lot of the other traditional finesse techniques. You know, throwing that, you get that wacky rig kind of action, but you get the bottom contact. So it's just a kind of for me, it's a best of both worlds. But again, you're not wanting to give this thing hardly any shakes at all. You're literally just doing the slow drag. You know, let that thing go to bottom, and you're not shaking your hand or your wrist at all. You're just kind of pulling your arm towards you with your elbow, reeling down. You're working this thing very, very slowly. Again, don't give that thing too much action. Now, another bait that works really good, or another way to rig this bait that works really good this time of year, is taking your favorite 5-inch Senko or your favorite whatever worm you're throwing this time of year and putting it straight on a ball head. Gives that thing a little different action. You get real good bottom contact feel with that head. You have the exposed hook, so even if those fish just pick up that bait, as soon as you feel pressure, you're gonna load into that hook point and you're gonna have better hook penetration. But if you have it thrown a ball head, it's a great alternative to the Nico. It's a different action. You're not getting that shaky or that wacky rigged kind of action. It's more of that dull, do nothing, lazy looking action, which is really, really good this time of the year. So don't be afraid to throw a ball head. Again, I'll link all the gear down below in the video description. So we talked about drop shot. We talked about downsizing your hook, paying attention to the action. We talked about the Nico Rig and the ball head. Same thing with a tube. If you guys are a tube guy, you guys know that I love hopping a tube. 1/2 ounce, 3/8, 3/4, really stroking that thing up, let it come down, and getting those smallmouth fired up. But this time of the year, same thing. It's just dragging. Every once in a while you can pop it up. But again, be very, very cognizant of the amount of action you're giving your bait, because you don't need that thing looking like a spaz down there, ADD, just running all over the place when everything around is just slow and lethargic, right? So the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about, and it might have been 10 years since we've done a video on this. I haven't even looked, but I know it's been a long time, is the float and fly. Now out here on Chick, everybody's out here fishing for crappie. And out on the West Coast, we catch a lot of big bass throwing a fly underneath a bobber. You know, this is not a new technique. It's not a technique that was invented out west. It actually came from out here. But what I want to, the tip that I want to give you, I still don't see anybody using out here in the South. And that is to run a slip bobber. You know, a lot of these guys, they're having, I was just talking to a buddy the other day. He was actually going to go crappie fishing. And this applies to bass, you know, highland reservoirs, lowland reservoirs, spotted bass fishery, largemouth, smallmouth, it doesn't matter. Dale Hollow, you know, that's where that stuff was developed. Running a slip bobber allows you to fish at different depths. You know, a lot of these guys that I see are running 8.5, 10, 12 foot float and fly rods. You don't need that, especially if you are, as soon as you go to the slip bobber, you don't need that. The reason they're using these such long rods is because they want to set their depth to 10 or 12 feet, and they need that distance between their bobber to make their cast. Well, with the threaded, let me show you guys. Can't see, I'm like here in the fog. With the, there it is. With the threaded slip-on, I'll show you this on my line. See that? I leave the long tags intentional so that I can re-cinch if it comes loose throughout the day fishing. But all this is thread on a plastic tube. You run your line through and you slip this off, and then you're gonna pull these two tabs tight onto your line. Well, with that, I can come and slide this up or down my line. Up, here's down, okay? I can adjust this. I can fish this thing in 40 feet if I want. I can cast it out, adjust, that eagle is pretty. I can adjust my stop to 25, 30, 35, 40 feet if I want, and now I can take that fly and suspend it in those depths. And I can do it with a 6-foot rod. I can do it with a 7-foot rod, 7'4". So you don't need that 12-foot rod as long as you're using that slip bobber. I will link, I use a fill bobber. I think it's the 7/8 size. I'll link it down below in the video description. It floats that 1/8 ounce fly, that Spro flat fly, fat fly. Perfect. Thing just stands right up. And you know, you can see my setup here. I have the little bead there. This is actually a different float, but you can see how this works. It just goes up and down. And now with that thread, if I want to go, let me show you guys. Let me cast this out and adjust this. There's a bunch of skipjack swimming all over. But I'm gonna adjust this down, and I'll show you how easy it is for this thing to be reeled up into my reel. So now I can fish it at super deep depths. So now you guys can see that guy right there? Just winds right up onto my spool. This is actually a 1,000 size reel. If you're throwing, you know, this is 4-pound test. Typically I'm throwing 4, 5, sometimes 6, but you can see how that thing just, that thread just winds right up into the reel. And when you cast, it doesn't get hung up. And now I can fish this, like I said, in deeper water. So if you are a float and fly guy, if you're a crappie, a bass guy, whatever, try throwing a slip bobber and fishing a fly in depths deeper than you have before. So guys, I hope that helps. You know, right now is the time to shine with that fly. Like I said, that cold water, those fish are lethargic. Sometimes they're suspended and you can't get them to bite. That slip bobber is a must, and you don't have to deal with those 10 and 12 foot long float and fly rods. But guys, there are some finesse tips for you to give you guys confidence next time you're out. Either you're throwing a drop shot, a Nico rig, a tube, a float and fly, a Ned rig, whatever it may be cognizant of your bait action, downsize, and you guys will have more success right now. Guys, if you have any questions, please leave those down below in the comment section. I will try to get to those as soon as possible. As always, guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate the support. If you learned something, hit that thumbs up, that like button. Remember to subscribe. We're doing a lot of videos a week. I don't know, I think it's like 4, 5, 6, something like that right now, but coming up on that new year. So guys, as always, we appreciate you. Thanks for watching and have a good one.